The rain hammered against the toming dome of New Terrace Station like 1,000 tiny fists. Albert pulled his jacket tighter as he hurried through the market district, his boots splashing through puddles that reflected the neon signs of 100 alien vendors. He was late picking up supplies again, the joys of single fatherhood on a frontier colony world. That's when he heard it. A small, choked sob coming from behind a stack of cargo containers. Albert stopped, his protective instincts overriding his schedule. He peered around the corner and found a small figure huddled against the metal wall. She couldn't have been more than 7 standard years old, with iridescent scales running down her arms and small folded wings pressed against her back. A draconian child rare this far from the core worlds. "Hey there," Albert said softly, crouching down to her level. "You okay, kiddo?" The girl looked up with luminous golden eyes, tears streaming down her scaled cheeks. I can't find my mum. We were shopping and I got lost," and her voice dissolved into fresh sobs. Albert's heart clenched. He thought of his own daughter back home, waiting for him. "It's alright. We'll find her together. What's your name?" "Aria," she whispered. "Nice to meet you, Aria. I'm Albert." He extended his hand, and after a moment's hesitation, she took it. Her scales were surprisingly warm. "Let's get you somewhere safe and dry, then we'll locate your mum." "Sound good?" Aria nodded, and Albert led her to the nearest security station. But as they walked, something strange happened. The usual looks of wariness that humans and draconians exchanged on the station were absent. Instead, other draconians they passed stared at Albert with something that looked like recognition, respect. At the security station, Albert explained the situation to the officer Gruff Centaurian, who immediately began accessing the station's communication network. While they waited, Albert bought Aria a cup of hot chocolate from a nearby vendor. She wrapped her small clawed hands around it gratefully. "You're really nice," Aria said, studying Albert's face with intense curiosity. "Most humans don't like draconians," Albert shrugged. "Most humans haven't spent enough time getting to know Besides, a kid's a kid, no matter what species. You get lost, you get scared, and you need help. Simple as that." "My mum says humans are special," Aria continued. "She says they're the only species in the galaxy that consistently chooses kindness over survival instinct." "Your mom sounds wise," Albert said with a smile. "What does she do?" "She's a combat pilot for the Intergalactic Defense Fleet," Aria said with obvious pride. "She's really important. She saved lots of people during the Void Wars." Before Albert could respond, a commotion erupted at the station entrance. A tall draconian woman in an IDF uniform burst through the doors, her wings partially extended in agitation. Her scales were a deeper crimson than Aria's, and her eyes blazed with a mixture of fear and fury. She cried, "Mum!" Aria leaped from her seat and ran into her mother's arms. The woman clutched her daughter tightly, murmuring something in the ancient draconian language. Then her eyes lifted and met Albert's across the room. Her expression froze. Albert felt a strange sensation wash over him like déjà vu, but stronger. The woman's face seemed familiar, though he couldn't place where he might have seen her before. "You," she breathed, releasing Aria and walking toward him slowly. You're Albert Thorne." Yes," Albert said, confused. "Have we met?" The draconian woman's eyes were glistening now. 16 years ago, the siege of Kepler Station. I was Wing Commander Serafina leading the evacuation fleet. You were a rescue coordinator. You stayed behind to guide the last civilian transports out when everyone else had fled. You saved over 3,000 lives that day, including mine." Memories flooded back. The chaos, the explosions, the desperate calls for help. Albert had just been doing his job, doing what needed to be done. He'd never thought of himself as a hero. He'd just been a guy trying to help people get out alive. I remember, Albert said quietly, "but I was just one person. There were hundreds of us working. You carried me to the last transport," Serafina interrupted, her voice thick with emotion. "I'd been hit by debris, couldn't walk. You carried me across the station while the hull was breaching around us. You saved my life personally." Aria was watching this exchange with wide eyes. Then suddenly, she gasped and pulled out her small communicator device. The case had a picture on it, a younger Albert in a rescue coordinator's uniform, receiving a medal. "Why is your picture on my mum's phone case?" Aria asked, holding it up. Seraphine's cheeks flushed a deeper shade of crimson. "Aria, your human father." She looked at Albert with an expression of profound vulnerability. "I never forgot you. After the siege, I tried to find you, to thank you properly, but you'd already moved on to another colony. You humans, you never stay in one place, always moving to the next crisis, the next group of people who need help." Albert felt the ground shift beneath him. "Wait, you said human father?" Arya is adopted, Serafina explained quickly. But I've told her about the human who saved me, who showed me what true courage looks like. I kept your picture because you changed how I see the universe. You taught me that strength isn't about power or fire or fangs, it's about choosing to help someone even when you have every reason to save yourself instead. Albert looked at Arya, who was watching him with those luminous eyes full of hope and curiosity. Then he looked at Serafina, this warrior pilot who'd carried his picture for 16 years. I'm on New Terra permanently now, Albert said softly. I have a daughter, she's 10. I'm not running toward the next crisis anymore. I'm trying to be ... here, present. Serafina smiled, and it transformed her entire face. Maybe we could have dinner sometime, all of us. Arya would love to hear stories about Earth, and I'd love to finally say thank you properly, and I could meet your daughter. Arya added excitedly. I've never had a human friend before. Albert laughed, feeling something warm bloom in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. Not since his wife had passed. Yeah, he said. Yeah, I'd really like that. As they exchanged contact information and said their goodbyes, Albert realized that maybe this was what humanity's real strength was. Not just the ability to face danger or make impossible choices, but the capacity to forge connections across the vast darkness of space, to build bridges where others saw only divides, and to carry hope in their hearts even when the universe seemed determined to extinguish it. He'd helped a lost dragon girl in the rain, and somehow, impossibly, it had led him back to a life he'd saved 16 years ago, a life that had been waiting for him all this time. Maybe that was the most human thing of all.